Welcome. We'll get started in a nice upright position. So sit up tall, relax your knees down. Once you settle in, close your eyes. You're going to be spending time with yourself on the mat. Just take a moment to become more present. Becoming more aware of your body, any subtle sensations. Becoming aware of your thoughts. And then making use of the breath. Take your awareness away from any racing thoughts, just to your inhalations and exhalations. A single point of focus, much like our dristi in postures. As you're sitting with your eyes closed, imagine lengthening a little bit more and feel subtle or finer muscles in the body working in order to get you into a nice upright position. Experience not having tension in the shoulders. Now start to deepen your inhales and exhales. If you are happy with your deeper breathing pattern, you may start with Ujjayi Pranayama. Aim to keep the breathing pattern consistent throughout the class. As you open your eyes, start by moving a little bit. You're going to move down to one leg, chest over to the opposite leg, and then rounding in the back as you take it back. So you can exhale forwards, inhale taking it back, exhale, inhale. Exhale. Just keep moving in one direction. Just getting as much movement in the spine as you can, really. And back to a neutral position and over to the opposite side. One more. Coming back into a neutral position. You can place your right arm or forearm onto the floor, so that in itself is going to require of you to bend over to the side a little bit, then take the opposite hand, push it into the leg to work the knee down to the floor. Keep the knee down, reach with the arm forwards and take it over your head, reaching out to the side. Feeling that nice stretch in the side body, but keeping your arms straight, fingers active and lengthening. Taking the arm forwards as you make your way back up. You'll feel a bit of a pull in the lats. You can place opposite forearm onto the mat, hand pushing the knee down, keeping the knee down as much as possible, taking the arm forwards and reaching over your head. reaching as far as possible. And then taking your arm forwards as you slowly make your way back up. Subtle activation for the neck muscles. You're going to place hand to the side of the head. You can start with whichever side, but apply pressure into the head, but keep your head still. Just feel activation in the neck as you resist with the arm pushing into the side of your head or the hand. And let go, switch hands, opposite side. It might seem maybe too easy, but this is quite important to feel neck activation and to just get the muscles to fire for bad seated posture. Bring the hand down. You can interlace fingers behind your head, and you're going to pull the head forwards but resist with the neck muscles. This might probably even feel easier than the previous two. So the idea is to have the ears above the shoulders when we're in a seated position. If these muscles become weak, what happens is the head sits in front of the rest of the body. These muscles become really useless, really. They don't fire, they don't activate. It can cause a lot of issues, not just posture issues, but also headaches, etc. So place hand onto the forehead, pushing the head back and resisting. A very basic neck work you can do just to make sure the neck muscles pretty much do what they have to do on a daily basis, and then bring the hand down. Just for a bit of flexibility, you can lift chin up to ceiling, taking your neck into full extension, feeling your range of motion. Exhale, bring chin down to chest, keep the rest of the spine long. Head back to center, a look over the one shoulder, turning the head, back to center and look over the opposite shoulder. Maybe you might notice less range of motion to the one side, and back to center. Now bringing hands onto the mat. As you get hands onto the mat, spread your fingers, grip the mat, get into a box pose, but tuck your toes and float knees off the mat. So we're pushing feet firmly into the mat. This is where you can start to tilt in the pelvis and feel a bit of core activation in order to maintain this position. Straighten the right leg as if we are moving into a plank, but before we do so, we want to stretch the right calf muscles by lifting the hips and working the right heel down to the floor. Feeling into the lower leg, keeping the breath deep. Really just appreciating the fact that you can, firstly, you have the mindset to get onto the yoga mat and to spend time with yourself, to spend time with your body, but also being grateful for the fact that you can move your body in this fashion. Let's slowly lower the hips, and as you lower the hips, we match the knees once again. Knees still not touching the mat. Straighten your left leg, and then taking your hips up, feeling a stretch along the left hamstring muscles as well as the calf muscles. Health is something we should never take for granted. And I suppose if we do what we can from our side, living a healthy life, meaning doing our yoga practice, looking after our bodies, healthy diet, healthy breathing patterns, lower the hips, get the knees to match, knees still floating off the mat. So if we do all of those things, then at least you do what you can from your side, and the rest is not in our hands. Let's straighten the legs into a traditional plank position. If the body gets tired in plank, then place knees to mat, but feel into the core We're going to lower down knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. So knees down if you're going for chest and chin down. In breath into a cobra pose because we keep knees on the floor. Pull the shoulders back and slightly down. So you're pushing through your hands, lifting in the chest. Now, as you have the knees resting on the floor, just make sure you work the pelvis down and you feel a bit of engagement in the glutes. Now, tuck toes. Before we lift the hips all the way up, draw navel to spine, get the knees to not touch, and then lift your hips all the way up into a down dog. Bend into knees, look up. Inhale, feet in between hands, halfway lift. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, reverse swan dive, arms to ceiling. Exhale, mountain pose. You can shake it out, feeling into both legs, the knee joints especially. And we'll get the big toes to touch, but pigeon your feet, getting the heels out to the sides. Place hands onto waist, nice deep in-breath. Exhale, hinge on the hips, turn it into a forward bend. You can most definitely bring the hands down towards the floor. Crown of the head down. Just doing a forward bend with the feet turned inwards. Bit of internal rotation from the hips as we do the forward bend. Using inhale for halfway lift. Placing hands onto the waist with an exhale. Inhale, come all the way up. Let's get the heels together, toes out to the sides. Now the toes can point to the edges of the mat, so you don't have to take them too wide. Hands onto waist, nice deep inhale on exhale. Hinge in the hips, forward bend. Head to shins. Avoid pushing the hips back too far. It's a bit of a different sensation. This forward bend with the feet being rotated outwards. External rotation in the hips. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands onto waist and inhale. And making your way back up into a standing position. Square off in the feet. The left foot will stay on the floor. Step the right foot up and in. You want to get the foot above the knee joint to the inner thigh. If you can't get it this high, place the foot on the calf muscle. Bring hands to prayer. Still working on the balance. Tree pose, Rexasana. Focusing on one spot. Gripping the mat with the entire left foot. Consistent breathing. If grabbing hold of the right ankle with the right hand is a bit difficult, then you might want to skip the next posture. You can simply stay in your tree pose. Alternatively, take the right hand, grip hold of the ankle, but around the leg. So not on the inside, take it around the back. As you find the ankle, pull the foot away from the leg. We go straight for happy half moon. So reaching down to the floor with the left fingers, opening up. So we're looking over the right shoulder and opening right hip to ceiling. It's a mini back bend. You're kicking back. The same way we came into the posture, we want to get out of the posture. So you can turn the gaze down, float the hand off the mat, and position your foot back against the inner thigh. Tree pose. Before we get out of tree, just to play with the idea, see if you can lift the heel off the mat. Just playing with the balance. You can keep it playful, even though it's maybe not that much fun. To target the lower legs like that, you can bring the heel down and step the right foot down. Shaking it out, you might feel that the left leg, and to condition a little bit, keeping you in that shape. You've got the right foot firmly on the mat, and we get into tree pose. So step the foot up. As you get the foot up, bring hands to pray. It's all about being present on the mat. So there's no need to rush getting in and out of a posture. Find stillness here. Feel that you've got control over your breathing pattern, as we're simply doing something extremely healthy, something relatively, don't want to say effortless, but something that's supposed to not be challenging, which is balancing on one leg. This is exactly why we do yoga. We challenge the body through a bit of balance, strengthening, flexibility, mobility. We're bending in and around the spine. We really try to do everything with the human body, movement-wise, that we can. Especially as the practice advances. Now, if you can grab hold of the left ankle with the left hand around the back, do so. And then as you grip hold, let's reach with the right fingers to the floor, turning our tree pose into happy half moon. Left hip up to ceiling. That was quite a profound loss of balance I had there. Keep kicking back. Find a spot to focus on. Even if it means you've got to find a spot against the wall, not always that easy against a white wall with no spots. But find your focal point. Same way we came into the posture, we're going to get out of the posture, so look down, slowly come up and step your foot to the inner thigh. And as you do that, get back into tree pose. Yoga is a breathing pattern. Yoga is a breathing practice. So unlike me, I can't find a consistent breathing pattern on the mat, having to talk the whole time. But you just simply focus on the inhales and exhales and doing the movements as well as you can. Lift the right heel off the mat. Play with it. See if it's possible. And slowly bring the heel down. And get out of your tree pose. Or position the feet together. And you can turn it into a forward bend, gripping hold of your triceps behind your head. Releasing hands down to the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Planting hands. Exhale, take it back. into plank. And this very strong plank pose, if knees, chest, chin is your option, then you'll be doing knees, chest, chin, but we'll be pushing back up into plank from there. If you do chaturanga, then we're going to be doing a few push-ups. Exhale down. Inhale, pushing back up. Make use of the breath. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. In breath up. Grip the mat with the hands. Exhale down. In breath up. Exhale down. Inhale up. One more. Exhale down. Inhale, pushing back up. Bring knees down. And sit back into a comfortable resting child's pose. And make your way back up. As you sit back up, you might want to stay in this position, maybe even tucking the toes to give the feet a bit of a stretch, but I'm going to play with the idea of side crane or side crow. Now, it's not for everyone, but you definitely want to at least, you've got to start somewhere if you struggle with an arm balance, and it's a nice way to at least have an understanding of where we're going with the posture. So for your side crane, you're going to take the knees over to the one side. So in this case, knees pointing to the right, but normal downward facing dog, hands on the mat. Now, what's nice about the easy version, meaning bending the arms, the outside of the left leg will push into the right tricep, and you can sort of lean on that arm. Just avoid getting the left elbow into the rib cage. So normal down dog, hands on the mat, knees together. I get high onto the toes, and that's where I shift weight forwards, almost like a chaturanga. Now, if you struggle to lift, if you stop and get stuck in this position, then that's your side crane practice for the day. So then be patient and just hold that shape, which is perfectly fine. So let's see if we can hold a side crane for a minute. Tricep into the outside of the left knee, shifting weight forwards and coming up. Breath is nice and deep. And slowly step the feet down and take it over to the opposite side. So knees pointing to the left. It's a bit of a spinal twist at the same time, which is quite nice. Down dog, hands, feet together, knees together, shifting weight forwards, floating, feet off the mat. Weight in both hands. Core activation. Even breath. Slowly bring your feet down. Coming back into a down dog, so you can simply just walk the hands forwards and then stepping it into a downward facing dog. Bend knees, look up, but this time around step or jump into a seated position. As you get to seated, straighten your legs. Flexing both feet, keeping feet together. Inhale, raising arms. Exhale, lean with the chest and chin. Grip hold to the outsides of the feet. Inhale, halfway lift. Arch in your back and exhale, forward bend. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, let go of the feet. If you are not comfortable with shoulder balance, being upside down, then you can lie on your back, taking your legs up to ceiling, into Viparita Karani. If you're comfortable with shoulder balance, please, reminder, just don't turn your head, but then you can simply flip upside down, first into Alasana, getting hands onto the back and taking legs up to ceiling. It's called shoulder balance for a reason. The weight is on the shoulders. There's some weight on your triceps and elbows, but no weight on the neck. The way we get out of shoulder balance is by lowering the legs over your head, back into that halasana shape. Once the toes make contact with the floor, very slowly start to curl down one vertebrae at a time. Your heels will be the last thing making contact with the floor as we get out of shoulder balance. Now bend your left knee. Drop the left knee over to the right at a 90-degree angle for a spinal twist. Inhale, bring your knee back to center. Straighten the left leg. Bend the right. Take it over to the left. Shoulder blades on the floor. Inhale, back to center. You can bend both knees. Grab hold behind the backs of the knees and rock up into a seated position. As you get to seated, we will play with the full Lotus Padmasana. Maybe just getting used to the idea of Padmasana if it's not a part of your practice. So take whichever leg on top of the opposite leg. You're probably going to go with your easiest side first. If I don't tell you which leg to use, the mind is or the brain can be a bit lazy wanting to find the easy way out. So the easier side will probably go first. But you get the foot on top and then you work the knee down. Obviously my bottom foot is in the way. So if I want to make more space, I get the foot out of the way. If you can get that leg up, Then pull the foot into your full lotus and you aim to work your knees down. So that's the idea. If you get stuck, so say for instance, you can't get the foot on top, then I would suggest that you simply try and get the body in a nice upright seated position with both knees moving down towards the floor. Just holding it for a second, seeing as though we want the body to get more used to the posture. If you are in a full lotus and it's really comfortable, you can even turn it into a bit of a forward bend. So wherever you are in this one, you can now release. So bring the foot down. Now we do opposite side. So we get the opposite leg up onto the quad, heel close to the glute. Taking the foot out of the way, seeing what that's like. And if you have a full lotus practice, bring the opposite leg up. You can stay in this position, or you can go back to the previous phase. And as I mentioned, you can even turn it into a bit of a forward bend. So just spending a bit of time in the posture is good enough. This is what we want to do. And if you know it's going to take a while before you can get both feet up, simply be patient, because this is the yoga practice. You're going to keep working at it, and eventually you are going to be able to sit in this position. And sitting in this position is pretty much the same as working towards sitting in this position, because that's the yoga journey. It counts for any posture that we aspire to do. So just taking a minute before we relax into corpse pose. You can get out of your Padmasana shape. If you feel the need to shake out the legs, do so. Just getting the legs to be more comfortable. And then very slowly relaxing down onto the floor. As you get onto the floor, make sure you're not holding any tension. Close your eyes. Allow the breath to be natural. And please stay in this corpse pose for a while. You can stay here for as long as you want, but just give your body some time to return back to its natural state before we carry on with the day.